Then there is an effect known as the luminal effect. Luminal effect. So formulation of insoluble complexes. Examples. This is known as the luminal effect. The drug, if it is administered orally, it will form the complex with pre-existing body substances. Like the example is the tetracyclines. They will form certain complex with iron preparations and antacids. So if you administer the tetracyclines to an animal with an antacid, then what happens? There will not be absorption at all or very less absorption because tetracycline gets chelated with iron preparations and antacids. Both are same. Then the gut wall effect is another effect. This is the luminal effect. The gut wall effect is the altering the motility of the gastrointestinal tract. That's known as the gut wall. This is related to gut wall, means intestinal wall. Suppose if you administer the drugs like anticholinergics like atropine sulfate or tricyclic antidepressants, means many persons they are every day they may be absorbing this tricyclic antidepressants, and the opioid drugs. Sometimes the opioid drugs are given chronically, and metoclopramide is a dopaminergic receptor agonist and what you call as anti-emetic drug. So what happens is if you administer these drugs or causing mucosal damage, this is going to change the motility of the intestine. Especially metoclopramide is a prokinetic, means it is going to increase the peristalsis, that's the prokinetic, or gastric emptying time. Or sometimes some of the drugs will cause the mucosal damage like neomycin, methotrexate and vinblastine. All these drugs are going to damage the mucosal membrane, and this is known as the gut wall effect. Means gut wall effect is the one in which the change in the motility or structure of the gastrointestinal wall or tract. So this then sometimes the injection routes also very important for the absorption is concerned. The very important route of the absorption are usually the intramuscular route is very commonly used. So these subcutaneous and intramuscular routes, the drug is deposited directly in the vicinity of the capillaries. So you know what are all the sites of subcutaneous injection, especially the neck, skin, and the biceps and triceps muscles are the sites of the subcutaneous and intramuscular injections respectively. Whereas the lipid soluble drugs pass readily across the whole surface of the capillary endothelium. So whenever you are injecting a drug inside the muscles, there will be lot of capillary beds are there in the surrounding vicinity. So the drug will come in contact with that of capillary, and maybe due to the passive diffusion, the drug get absorbed into the circulation. And the capillaries being highly porous do not obstruct absorption of even large lipid soluble molecules or ions. So the capillaries do have got these endothelial cells, and there is very loose junction is present, and almost all the drugs which are deposited to nearby these capillaries get absorbed, and very large molecules are absorbed through the lymphatic. So there is both circulation of the lymphatic circulation will be there, and also the blood circulation will be there. So some of the drugs with large molecules, maybe a progesterone or any hormone preparations, they are absorbed through lymphatic drainage. And application of heat and muscular exercise accelerate the drug absorption by increasing the blood flow. So if you have administered a drug through the intramuscular route and deposited a drug inside the muscular tissue, then if you apply the heat or do some exercise, the faster the absorption occurs. Whereas while vasoconstriction, example, if you administer the adrenaline along with certain drugs like the lignocaine, it is going to retard the absorption. And sometimes this property is taken for the prolonged action of a drug. Means adrenaline is combined with lignocaine to retard the absorption, because the adrenaline causes the vasoconstriction, local vasoconstriction, and because of this local vasoconstriction, there is the absorption get decreased. Then apart from this one, incorporation of hyaluronidase, this facilitates the drug absorption from subcutaneous injection by promoting the spread. Hyaluronidase is an enzyme which facilitates the drug absorption at the site of administration by promoting the spread of this particular drug through more and more surface area and more capillary permeability. So the many depot preparations like this benzathine preparation, by this time you know all these terminologies like depot preparations, etc. Depot preparation is the one depot, just like bus depot. A quantity, a large quantity of the drug is deposited in such a way that there will be very slow absorption of the drug for a prolonged period. And just like this protamine, zinc, insulin, especially in case of diabetic patients who are dependent on insulin dependent diabetes mellitus, then protamine zinc is given subcutaneous. So it takes more time, so that small quantity is absorbed to the circulation for prolonged period, so that the mode of this action stays long. And the progesterone, this Prolutan depot or progesterone depot are administered subcutaneously, then the absorption is delayed and small quantity is absorbed for a prolonged period, especially 1 week or 2 weeks by this particular route. And topical sites are there like skin and mucous membrane. Topical sites like skin and mucous membrane, the absorption can be promoted by rubbing the drug incorporated in oil base or by the use of occlusive dressing, which increase the hydration of the drug. So in this topical site, especially you know that many ointments like the ointment containing the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents, which are pain-killing agents or anti-inflammatory and analgesic agents, they are absorbed topically. So whenever you apply such ointments, you are going to rub the drug incorporated and in an oil. So, or sometimes some occlusive dressings will increase the hydration of the skin. So if you moisturize the skin more and more, then there is absorption through the site of this application will be more. For example, organophosphorus phosphate in the insecticides coming in contact with skin can produce systemic toxicity. This is many times our cattle get affected by this route of administration. What happens is the owner many times, instead of using the least toxic what you call as the acaricides like deltamethrin, cypermethrin, etc., they are going to dilute the OPC compounds and apply on the skin of this animal. And since organophosphorus compounds are highly lipid soluble substances, they are going to be absorbed into the circulation very fastly, then they cause systemic toxicity. That means OPC toxicity is caused in such a case. And apart from these ones, there are abraded surfaces or broken surfaces, so readily absorb certain drugs like this tannic acid applied over the burnt skin has produced hepatic necrosis. See, the tannic acid is one of the toxic substances which, if it is applied, especially this is practiced in village conditions, tannic acid or tamarind, etc., they are applied over the burnt skin. So it is going to be absorbed into the circulation and cause the hepatic necrosis. Then many of the drugs are what you call as they are administered through intracorneal route, etc. Cornea is permeable to lipid Cornea is permeable to lipid or mucous membranes of the mouth, rectum, vagina, and absorb lipophilic drugs. So you are using so many eye ointments or eye drops. So you are then the mucous membranes of this mouth and rectum and vagina absorb lipophilic drugs. So the preparations are made according to its chemical property for the more and more absorption. And this is the another important term, that's the bioavailability. Means bioavailability refers to the rate and extent of the absorption of a drug from the dosage form. Bio means life, availability means availability of a drug. Bioavailability means availability of the or presence of the drug in the bloodstream. How much quantity of the drug is available for biological action? That's known as the bioavailability. Though this is determined by its concentration, time curve in blood, or by its excretion in urine. So the bioavailability of a drug is depending upon so many factors. Ultimately, how much quantity of the drug is getting excreted and how much it metabolized in the body. So it's a measure of the fraction administered, the dose of the drug that reaches the systemic circulation in the unchanged form. Usually the drug should reach the circulation in unchanged form. Then it will be changed to some XYZ metabolites. Either it is getting excreted through the urine or it may act on the receptors. That's a very common trend in case of many drugs. And availability of the drug injected through IV route is 100%, because whenever you administer the drug through intravenous route, you are directly injecting the drug into the vein, which carries the drug to the heart, and from the heart it is pumped throughout the body. So to entire body, the availability of the drug is 100% if the route of the administration is intravenous. And another important term is there, that's the bioequivalent. Bioavailability and bioequivalent. So two preparations of the drug are considered bioequivalent when the rate and extent of bioavailability of the drug from them is not significantly different under suitable test condition. Suppose I will take an example of a drug, tetracycline. So it is given as IV, then it is given as intramuscular. Then the rate and extent of the bioavailability from both of these routes, if they are not different, then it is known as they have got very good bioequivalence. And oral formulation of a drug from different manufacturers or different batches from the same manufacturer may have the same amount of the drug, chemically equivalent, but may not yield same blood levels biologically inequivalent. So here I can give the example, like in the market there are lakhs of preparations of aspirin, like the salicylic acid and aspirin or any other thing. So many companies are preparing, but sometimes you feel that you feel good, means the effect of the drug is more, because it depends upon the formulation, drug formulation. Suppose the tablet, injection or whatever it may be, if these many type of the drugs are administered with same type of the dosage form, suppose it's a tablet from Cipla, tablet from Intas, tablet from Alembic, then sometimes because of the difference of the manufacturer and other thing and the batch also, then the quantity present in the blood is different. So that's why these drugs can be called as the drugs with different bioequivalency or bioequivalent. And next is the important term is the distribution. Distribution means absorption, distribution. So distribution is, once a drug has gained access to the bloodstream, it gets distribution to the other tissue. So whenever you are what you call as injecting the drug or admitting it orally or applying it over the skin, the ultimately drug has to be absorbed from the circulation, absorbed into the circulation and get distributed throughout the body tissues. You cannot make that the drug should only act on the central nervous system or act on the stomach. So whatever may be the this what you call as property of a drug, it has to reach the many tissues, maybe a fat or maybe the adipose tissue or the fat tissue or intestine or liver or whatever it may be, it will go to the all these tissues. The extent of distribution of drug depends on its lipid solubility. So this especially the extent of distribution, how much quantity of drug is distributed into varieties of the tissue is depending upon the solubility of that drug, ionization at physiological pH, extent of plasma protein binding, and also sometimes the tissue protein binding, and these are different in different regions of the body. So the distribution of the tissue distribution. Suppose if you want a drug to act on the bacteria causing the mastitis, then the drug has to be absorbed properly, then it has to pass the blood milk barrier, come into the other tissue, then it should penetrate where the bacteria are present and act on the bacteria after attaining the minimal inhibitory concentration. So this is very, very important, how much quantity of the drug distributed in different tissue. Then the movement of the drug proceeds until an equilibrium is established between unbound drug in plasma and tissue fluids. Suppose you have administered a drug intravenously, the absorption is 100% here, but we cannot say that the bioavailability is 100%, and there is an exchange between this drug between the plasma protein and plasma. So the equilibrium is established in between unbound drug of plasma and tissue fluids. And what happens subsequently, there is a parallel decline in both due to the elimination. So as the drug concentration reach to the maximum, immediately the elimination starts. Along with the elimination, metabolism also starts. So as the drug is getting absorbed, all this process will start simultaneously, and the drug will never mind, yes, this quantity should come and later it gets elimination. No, nothing like that. As the quantity of the drug, any quantity of the drug is absorbed into the circulation, the excretion starts and metabolism starts very immediately. So because of this thing, there is a decline in the drug concentration in the body. That's known as the parallel decline in the body due to the elimination. So here you can see the intravenous route, then the drug, whenever the drug is given, then it is distributed throughout the body. Here you can see that an injection given transdermal or epidermal or intramuscular especially. So in the site of this absorption, capillary endothelial cells are there, capillary bed is there, it is going to get into the absorbed into the main circulation. So when the drug enters the body, then maybe through sublingual or buccal or oral route, maybe inhalation route, most of the drug reaches the body circulation, main circulation, especially it reaches heart, then it is getting pumped into the lungs immediately, then what you call as it is distributed throughout the body fluids. So you cannot make any drug to go to a particular tissue and act there. It's very difficult. So everywhere, any drug which is maybe intrarectal route or the intra-arterial route, everything, and inhalation route, all are going to be absorbed into the circulation, then they are going to be distributed throughout the body. That's very, very important factor. So there are certain terminologies are there here. Then the apparent volume of distribution, it is denoted as the capital V. So here in the, especially in case of this pharmacokinetic, lot of terms will come like this apparent volume of distribution, PK, PD, and so many other things they are coming, and one should be very particular about understanding these terminologies, because the pharmacokinetic many times it goes by the formula rather than the understanding. The volume, the apparent volume of distribution is the volume of that drug that would accommodate all the drug in the body if concentration throughout was the same in the plasma. See here, once again, what is the apparent volume of distribution is the volume that would accommodate volume of a fluid, body fluid, that would accommodate all the drug in the body if the concentration throughout was the same as in case of plasma. Here, the plasma is also a body fluid, whereas the other body fluids, especially the secretions, the saliva, etc., they are also considered as the body fluids. So this is called as a volume. That makes a very big volume, especially suppose in case of ruminants, inside the rumen there are a lot of rumen liquors, etc. there. That also adds to the volume where the drug is distributed. Means simply, in simplified terms, what we can say is volume of distribution is referred as the quantity of the drug that is distributed throughout the body fluids. That's the simple terminologies. And here the how to find this is, there is an equation. This V is referring to apparent volume of distribution. So dose administered IV, because in case of IV distribution, the absorption is 100% and the plasma concentration. Suppose the dose of the administration of thiopenton sodium is 9 milligram per kg, 9, then plasma concentration is 1 milligram per deciliter, then the volume of distribution is 9. That happens. So here, once again, here there is what you call as the entire body is considered as one chamber. Then the total drug in the body, suppose if you administered the 100 milligram of thiopenton sodium, 100 milligram of thiopenton sodium to the blood, and you administer the dose as the 50 milligram per plasma drug concentration is 50 milligram per liter. Then the volume of distribution is 20 liter, because total drug injected is 1000 milligram divided by 50 milligram per liter. So ultimately the drug is distributed or diluted in 20 liters of the body fluids. That is known as the volume of distribution. Here the formula is V is equal to the what you call as, here is the once again formula, dose administered IV and plasma concentration. The plasma concentration is 50 milligram, whereas the dose administered, total dose administered is 1000 milligram. So volume of distribution is 20 liters. That's the simple method of calculation. And lipid insoluble substances, lipid insoluble substance drugs do not enter the cells. Lipid insoluble drugs do not enter the cells. The volume of distribution approximates intracellular fluid concentration. Example, the lipid insoluble drugs means the drugs that cannot be absorbed into the circulations, the volume of distribution is less, just like the streptomycin and gentamicin. Their volume of distribution is 0.25 liters per kg. As the lipid solubility goes down, then the volume of distribution goes down. Distribution is not only a matter of dilution but also binding and sequestration. See, the distribution or the bioavailability of the drug is dependent upon this so many factors like volume of distribution, how much quantity of the drug is available at the site of action. the drugs extensively bound to plasma proteins are largely restricted to the vascular compartment. Suppose there are albumins, etc., plasma albumins and globulins are there. Usually the drug, whenever it's injected intravenously, it is going to bind with that of the plasma proteins. So more and more binding means the tissue distribution of that particular drug becomes very restricted. That's why drugs extensively bound to plasma proteins are largely restricted to the vascular compartment. Example, phenylbutazone and warfarin has got very high, about 99% plasma protein binding, and hence the volume of distribution is very less, that's 0.1 liter per kg. Simply what you can say is more and more plasma protein binding, then less and less the volume of distribution. So the redistribution, this is also another important terminology is there. The redistribution is, suppose a drug is administered through any route, it is distributed throughout the body as many tissues, and the volume of distribution is also high. Then after that thing, it is going to shift it to some other tissues, like just like adipose tissues or bone or any other where the drug gets deposited. That's known as the redistribution of the drug. Highly lipid soluble drugs given IV or by inhalation initially get absorbed into the organs with high blood flow. Example, brain is the one which has got highest blood flow, and the heart and kidney. Brain, heart, kidney, these are the very important organ which has got lot of perfusions. So what happens, highly lipid soluble drugs given IV or by inhalation initially get distributed to organs with high blood flow. It's very simple. Just like your water in a pipe. So wherever the pipe size is bigger, the water will go there directly, just like brain, heart and kidney, etc. Later, what happens? Less vascular but more bulky tissues like muscle, fat take up the drug, plasma concentrations falls and the drug is withdrawn from these sites. So later what happens? Initially the drug will go to the more and more perfused area. Then later it will enter the less vascular but more bulky tissues like muscle, fat. So what happens is these take up the drug plasma concentration, hence the plasma concentration falls and the drug is withdrawn from this particular site. If the site of the action of the drug was in one of the highly perfused organ, example the brain, heart and kidney, redistribution results in termination of the drug action. Suppose a drug is a diuretic, it has to act on the kidney nephrons or kidney cells. Then it has got more redistributive property, means it is distributed to either fat tissues or to the bone or any other tissues. Then what happens? The concentration of the drug at the site of the action, especially in the kidneys, is going to be decreased. That's known as the redistribution effect. So greater the lipid solubility of the drug, faster it is redistribution. If the drug is having more and more lipid soluble, then it gets more and more redistributed. Anesthetic action of the thiopentone is terminated in fastly because of its redistribution into adipose tissues. Because thiopentone sodium, which we are using in the dog to introduce the anesthesia. So what happens is we are going to administer it IV, but since it's redistributed to the body fat tissues, immediately its action is going to be terminated, and because of this redistribution, once again the drug will come from the adipose tissues to the circulation and the animal get deanesthetized. That's the effect of redistribution.